Hello, my name is Austin Markey. I'm a junior math and physics major at Bloomsburg University, and for my presentation for Dr. Ding's Political Science 181 class, I chose a comparison of primary school systems around the world. I chose this topic because when I graduate from college, I want to be a teacher, so this is something that is very important to me. When talking about dominant countries that have good education systems, the first ones that come up are South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, Finland, and Canada. These are the ones that I'm going to be focused on in my presentation, and then I will of course talk about America and how America compares to the rest of these. First, I'm going to talk about South Korea. South Korea, first of all, has school 7 days a week. They also spend 8% of its GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product, on education, as compared to a 6% average of other OECD participating countries. OECD standing for Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. South Korea also has, in their culture, education is highly emphasized. The parents are willing to spend a lot of money for an excellent education for their kids, and they're also very involved in their education. Teachers are also highly qualified and paid very good salaries. Being a teacher is also a very coveted role in South Korea, so they have a lot of respect. So a lot more people want to try their hardest to be a good teacher. Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong all have a very similar education system. All of their education systems are technology based, and they also spend a good percentage of GDP on education, similar to that of South Korea. Also similar to South Korea, their main focus is on primary education, so there's a cultural aspect to being a very good student. Also, a big thing that all three of these countries have done is they've moved away from the memorization and repetitive tasks that a lot of other people do, and they've moved towards deeper conceptual understanding and problem-based learning, so that they're not just memorizing terms or memorizing formulas, they're learning why these terms and why these formulas exist, so that when they see a problem that they haven't seen that exact problem before, they can still figure out how to solve it based on the knowledge that they have. Singapore's Ministry of Education also recently implemented a policy of teach less, learn more, which has become very popular and has greatly risen its education system up with the best of the world. Finland's education system is much different than that of South Korea's, Japan's, Hong Kong's, and Singapore's. It is much more relaxed. First off, school does not start until you're 7 years old. And there's also no homework and no standardized testing until you reach high school. The days are also much shorter, and students and teachers spend less time in actual schools. Also, preschool for 5 to 7-year-olds has an emphasis on playing and socializing, so there's not really any basic math or writing or anything like that being done. Now, I think that this is such an effective approach because it teaches the students to relax. In today's culture, at a lot of places, there's a lot of stress put on kids from a very young age. In this way, the way Finland is doing it, there's not as much pressure put on students. So it's easier for them to try harder. It's easier for them whenever they get to high school, not be burnt out from all the homework and standardized testing that they've had already, since they don't start homework and standardized testing until they reach high school. Also, the fact that they don't spend a lot of time in schools means that they do a lot of hands-on work. This really helps to make learning a much more exciting experience for students, which really motivates them to want to learn more. Canada's education system has improved drastically over the past years. They have a very simple system that focuses on three main parts, which are literacy, math, and high school graduation. They have a system that is very transparent, so that helps the students and the teachers and the parents to all work together towards a common goal. The transparent system helps encourage teamwork, provides a quality education, it has continued teacher training, has transparent results, and has a culture of sharing best practices. Teachers also tend to have a higher morale in Canada because, first of all, they have good pay, they have favorable working conditions, and the facilities are good, and there are many kinds of opportunities for teachers to improve their own judgments. So, like I said, they have continued teacher training, which means that even when they become a teacher, they continue to train, they continue to learn more, which then helps the students to learn more. There is also discretion for teachers to make their own judgments in Canada. Unlike some other places where there's a certain set of rules that all teachers have to follow, there are rules for teachers in Canada, but they are responsible for their own judgments. America is at about the middle of the table for education. We tend to have weaknesses in math and higher cognitive demands, such as taking real-world situations and translating them into mathematical terms. However, America has been progressing, and we do have a lot of pluses that a lot of other countries don't have, such as school is free for every child, and we also have an emphasis on a wide and varied curriculum. We also have added societal issues implemented in our education, such as physical fitness, health education, and all the different arts. We are also free to make our own choices. As I mentioned, we have an emphasis on a wide and varied curriculum, so we get a taste of a lot of different things. We might not necessarily go as in depth as some other countries do in like math, but we get a taste of different topics so we're free to choose something else other than just math, science, or writing as something that we want to do with our life. What America can do to improve their education system is teachers have actually been creating mathematical tasks with higher cognitive demands, so this helps with the math weaknesses that we tend to have. But what we can do is try implementing a technology-rich curriculum, have hands-on experiences because, like I said earlier in the presentation, this really helps to get students excited about learning. Also have teacher training programs like they do in Canada so that teachers keep learning new things that they can then transfer over to their students. There also needs to be more respect for teachers. In most of the places that I talked about in this presentation, being a teacher is one of the most coveted positions you can have. It's not necessarily like that in the United States, so we need to make sure we respect our teachers. But the biggest thing that we can do to improve our education system is that everyone needs to work harder. Everyone from the teachers to the students to the parents of the students. The most important thing is just to work as hard as you can.